Focus now though to the world of auto. This week we get you a closer look at the 2024 Force Gurkha. It explores both the 3 and the 5-door variants in detail.
From its rugged design to its spacious cabin and capable performance, let's find out if the latest Gurkha is a hit or a miss in the nice 4x4 SUV market.
Whether you're a seasoned off-road enthusiast or simply curious about this iconic vehicle, this review has everything you need to know before hitting the trails. Take a look.
Picture yourself as the underdog of off-roading, charging through muddy bogs and splashing through slush like you are the king of the wilderness, but on a budget. Well, if you fancy that idea, the Force Gurkha might just be your trusty steed, and now there's a new one. Retaining its unmistakably G-Wagon-esque silhouette, complete with those sunken headlights that look like they're frowning against a dust storm, the Gurkha now has an even more imposing stance.
Because what they've done is fix the ground clearance at the front. If you looked at the older vehicle, it sort of had a squat stance in the front. Those suspension elements, those suspension arms, they felt like they were, sort of converging downward. Now they are more in line, more parallel to the ground. And that is why it looks slightly taller, a bit more imposing. Another thing that adds to that effect is the new 18-inch wheels. And for some reason, the design is a bit too much like Mercedes-Benz, is what I feel.
Add to that the rugged accessories like the roof rack, the windshield bars and a snorkel, and you have a design that screams, "I eat river crossings for breakfast." Unfortunately, the off-road course that Force designed for us was pretty basic to say the least, but it gives you a fair idea of the Gurkha's capabilities. Take a look.
So you have a 35-degree approach angle and a 37-degree departure angle, which means that even on a slightly more extreme slope like this, the car doesn't really scrape itself anywhere. Next up, we have the side slope. And this is where the big ground clearance of this vehicle is again put to the test. 233 millimeters. Especially at the front, they've improved the ground clearance so that you can see now it doesn't really scrape anywhere, even on this kind of terrain. The breakover angle is very nicely visible. The vehicle did not scrape itself anywhere. Next up, we have the articulation course. Of course, monsoons are coming. This is what the potholes are going to look like. And again, that is not going to worry the Gurkha at all. It just gracefully goes through all of that without breaking a sweat. And finally, you have a drop again, which is where the approach angle, the departure angle is again going to come into play. Now, even if this was filled with water, the Gurkha has 700 millimeters of water wading capability. And with that big snorkel, again, walk in the park. In fact, that is what this off-road course feels like, a walk in the park, right? Because it's not a very hardcore course. But remember, people pick up the Gurkha and do it up for stuff like the Rainforest Challenge, which is absolutely hardcore. And even there, the vehicle shines. So this feeling like a walk in the park is, well, expected from a vehicle like the Gurkha.
Astonishingly, even the 5-door variant feels at home doing all of this stuff despite the longer wheelbase that it rolls on.
The visibility is excellent, as you would want in an off-road vehicle. When you sit in the car for the first time, you feel that, oh, the seats are so high. The steering wheel, despite being tilt and telescopically adjustable, it just feels so low. You're sitting so high. But when you go on treacherous terrain like this, you suddenly realize that the visibility is just excellent. That seating posture is just perfect to give you that proper, perfect commanding view of the road. Well, it just works perfectly well. So what is the difference between the 5-door and the 3-door, you may ask? Well, the obvious differences are going to be in the length, in the wheelbase, a little bit on the height. This is 15 millimeters taller, 26 millimeters if you also take the roof rack into consideration. But apart from that, what really changes is the amount of space that this car is going to give you inside the cabin. So let's get in there and check what it's all about.
Inside this burly beast, it's a tale of two variants. A cozy 3-door seating for 4 adults comfortably and a new, family-friendly 5-door stretching its legs to accommodate 6 adults and a small tot.
At least at the moment, Force is not offering different variants for the seating for the 3-row variant. So what you get is a bench seat in the middle. You don't get captain seats here. The captain seats are going to be at the back. You're going to get ISOFIX child seat mounts on either ends, and the headrests are also going to be on either ends only. So you can either put your children in the child seat mounts here, or if it's a slightly older child and is not going to sit in the child seat, they're going to go here. So ideally this cabin is good enough for 6 adults and 1 kid. Now, to get into the rear, you still have to go at the back, open the 5th door, literally have to duck walk your way into the cabin. And one good thing is, the door is within easy reach. You don't really need anyone to close it for you. And they've also done this rubber hinge on it, so there's a bit of tension on it, so it easily closes. So that's a very thoughtful addition. Another thoughtful addition is that you get 3-point seat belts for all the occupants. Now in terms of the space, the knee room is actually quite good. Headroom is pretty decent too, but as we've seen with the previous Gurkha, the 3-door version as well, the window line is slightly lower. So getting your view outside of the car for taller passengers might be a bit of an issue, but honestly, I don't think it's too much of a problem. It gives you a nice and airy feel. And unlike the 3-door variant, you do get roof-mounted AC vents, which means that the circulation for the air is actually quite good too. Now, foot space is a bit of a problem with this wheel arch right here. So for long distance journeys, it can get a bit cumbersome.